today's episode, my wife and I went to Orchids at the Halekulani resort in Waikiki. It's a pretty upscale resort, and we usually go to the Martini Bar Lures Lounge. So since we're staying for a staycation at the Outrigger Reef, our room is like literally right across the way. We just walked right down the street and into the resort, so it was a really quick walk. We actually didn't know much about orchids before we went, so we got to go in blind, which is actually really fun for restaurants like this. We didn't know it at the time, but they actually seated us in one of the more premier spots, at least as far as the view and the ambiance with the live music across the pavilion there. Because it's good. Yeah, keep that face on. We didn't really spend any time looking at the menu because I had ordered us both the tasting menus. So actually going back through the editing was the first time I really looked at the menu carefully. And they offered a decent amount of drinks as well. The Bellini we ordered wasn't very light. It was kind of heavy on the Di Serrano, but the peach foam was pretty good. It just wasn't very light as a drink. And then the Malone that we ordered had, I think, too much Campari, or the strawberry that was infused with it wasn't very good because it had a very bitter aftertaste. We got two breads, and both of them were kind of subpar. They didn't taste very fresh, and the focaccia was almost like a cornbread consistency. Overall, I didn't really enjoy it very much. For our first dish, we got the ahi tartare, which I usually avoid tartare, but we both really enjoyed this dish, surprisingly. For our second dish, we got seafood pasta with fazzoletti, garlic butter, cream sauce, and then scallops and shrimp and lobster. It was pretty tasty. I'd never had this pasta style before, and I loved it. Our third dish was a pan-fried branzino with garlic and artichoke with a vinaigrette reduction. It was actually really tasty. My wife didn't like it as much as I did, but I rather enjoyed it. It was better than some of the fish I've had in the past. Our fourth dish was an adventure. It was a veal steak with foie gras, which neither of us had ever had before. My wife neglected to eat it just because of animal cruelty issues. I tried it. It wasn't that bad. It just it's a different texture and taste to get used to, but I wouldn't order it again, but it wasn't horrible. For our first dessert, it was a white chocolate sphere with a kind of like a sponge cake inside and a pineapple reduction with a lilikoi foam on top. I don't usually like white chocolate at all, and this dessert blew me away. I would go here specifically just for this dish. It was that enjoyable for me. And then for our anniversary, they gave us a nice coconut cake for free. It wasn't anything special, but it wasn't really that bad. So with tip, everything came out to be about $500, which was a little bit more than I kind of expected to pay. But it wasn't too terrible, I suppose, for the price. For For ambiance, we gave it a 10 out of 10. We were right on the water, so you could hear the water crashing on the rocks. There was beautiful live music playing right across from us, and it was just quiet and elegant. Really everything you want in upscale dining. For drinks, we gave it a 4 out of 10. The Malone that my wife had, she didn't really drink it at all, and I honestly couldn't really drink it either. It was kind of bitter. And the Bellini wasn't very light, and the balance was kind of off, so because of that, we gave it a 4. For bread, I had to go with a 2.5. There wasn't really a lot of flavor in it. It did taste a few days old, and it definitely didn't really taste fresh, so we've had a lot better, and I definitely expect better at a restaurant like this. The ahi tartare and the seafood pasta were really good appetizers. They weren't, the seafood pasta was better at Crouching Lion, but it really wasn't that bad, all things considered. And then the tartare, being my first experience, actually was pretty solid. The fish and the steaks weren't bad either. We gave it a pretty decent score. The veal was kind of different, and the vergora was kind of different as well, but can't really knock it if I don't really know what it's supposed to taste like, but it wasn't that bad of an experience. The white chocolate dessert actually stole the show for me, considering it's something I usually avoid, and ended up being probably one of my favorite dishes of the night, so high marks for that. Overall, we gave it a 7 out of 10. The bill being almost $500 for two has to count for something, and there was a few things that were less than optimal, but all in all, it really wasn't that bad of an experience, and it definitely was an experience, so we'd definitely come back and probably try some more menu items.